Woody Womack joined by Mike Farrell for his weekly picks. Mike, let's get right into the games. First off, Ohio State traveling to Michigan State, 24-point favorites. The Buckeyes on the road. What do you think?
Yeah, I would take the Buckeyes here. I think they're going to have to not only get to the minimum number of games to get the Big Ten, but also impress people to stay in that fourth spot. If they want to make the playoff, they're going to have to blow out teams like Michigan State. So Day's going to run it up. Michigan State's coming off a nice victory, but Ohio State should win this one by 30.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Buckeyes as well. Texas A&M traveling to Auburn. Aggies 7-point favorites on the road. What do you think?
I like Texas A&M here, and it's mainly because of the running game and their defense. We all know I'm the biggest Kellen Mond fan in the world, and he's been solid. But Isaiah Spiller is awesome. The offensive line looks good, but that defense is nasty. Auburn's coming off a blowout loss. Now, Bo Nix is a different player at home, but I just think Auburn's a bit deflated after the Iron Bowl, and I think A&M is going to win this one by 10.
I am going to take the Tigers to keep it close. I think Texas A&M wins, but I don't really have faith in them to win by a touchdown on the road. Oregon coming off a loss to Oregon State, 10-point road favorites at Cal.
Cal is a mess. They're 0-3, and Oregon's going to be angry. So Oregon is a pretty good bet here to cover that 10.
You know how I work. I will be taking Cal.
Which is funny because you're from Oregon. I mean, what do you hate the Ducks?
No, I watch them play.
Just know that they don't blow teams out.
And they don't play well against Cal in the Cristobal era. So, I think the one game, there's been plenty of years where they could blow them out and it ends up being close. So I think Oregon wins, but I think Cal keeps it close. I might look at the Cal outright too on my own, see what kind of odds you're getting there. Oklahoma State traveling to TCU. The Cowboys are 2-point favorites.
Yeah, it's a weird line. TCU's 4-4, not a great team. Oklahoma State's supposed to have all this amazing power offense, and it just hasn't come together this year. But Chuba still effective. I don't know. It's a trap line, so I'm going to take TCU. I think they're going to win the game outright. It's a trap line.
Yeah, it is kind of fishy. I guess I'll take Oklahoma State, but I don't have faith. I've been saying I didn't have faith in them even when they were undefeated. So I don't know why I pick them here, but I am. Rice traveling to Marshall. Marshall 23.5-point favorites against Rice.
Got to take Marshall. Rice is something you have with Chinese food, and they don't win football games.
Yeah, 23.5 is an interesting number. 24 is the key. I'm going to go ahead and take Rice. They like to run it. They kind of have the old Stanford approach, intellectual brutality or whatever it's called. So I think they can keep it within 3 touchdowns there. Syracuse, 34-point underdogs at Notre Dame.
Okay. All right. Ready?
Yeah.
North Carolina was a tough game. Everybody, expects some sort of letdown against Syracuse. Because Syracuse is really horrible. I mean, just an awful football team. But Syracuse is so bad. I mean, Notre Dame's going to win this game probably 50-3, something like that. So take Notre Dame.
Yeah, I kind of want to take Syracuse, but their quarterback situation is just abysmal. They really got to get that figured out. I mean, Dino Babers is an offensive guy, but yeah, their quarterbacks they've had injuries, but none of them have looked particularly good. So I'll take Notre Dame as well. West Virginia 6.5-point underdogs going on the road to your favorite school, the offensive genius Matt Campbell in Iowa State.
Yeah, somebody called him Matty Ice the other day, and I'm like, that's taken. The genius is good though. You call him the brain. Whatever you want to call it, but Iowa State is playing for something. West Virginia is not. It's at Iowa State. So I would take Iowa State laying the 6.5. I think they're going to win probably by 10 points or so. They're legit. Brees Hall, legit. I should have put him on my Heisman list just because.
I should have ranked him higher. Yeah. Consider he's an
Well,
All-American 3-star.
Jared Patterson was a 2-star. So what do you want from me?
um, Indiana at Wisconsin. I'll take Iowa State too. Indiana, a 14-point underdog at Wisconsin. Michael Penix out, Jack Tuttle in. What do you think, Mike?
That's a big line. Wisconsin hasn't played a whole lot of football this year. They've looked solid at times. That's a big line, but without Penix, I don't know what Indiana is going to do offensively. I think they might struggle quite a bit. So I'm going to take Wisconsin at home, laying the 14 because it's such a big line. I think somebody knows something, and I think they cover the 2 touchdowns.
I'll take Indiana to win outright.
Outright.
Sorry, Wisconsin. You're
Tuttle.
Jack Tuttle.
103 in the nation, Tuttle.
That's right. Give me the Hoosiers. Iowa, 13.5-point favorites at Illinois.
Man. I don't think either team is very impressive, but I'll go with Iowa. I don't know how they're ranked 19th in the country. They're 4-2, and I don't know what their marquee victories are, but I'll take Iowa to cover the 13.5 just because I don't think Illinois is a very good football team.
Yeah, give me Illinois. I think when they have Brandon Peters, they're a lot better, so I like them to keep it close. I still think Iowa wins. Tulsa, 12-point favorite on the road at Navy.
I'm going to take Tulsa. Zach Smith and the boys there are going to absolutely run it up. Navy's not a good football program right now at all.
I really like Tulsa this season, but they don't beat anybody by a lot of points. I think that I like their defense, but I actually am going to take Navy, especially on the road. So give me Navy there.
Once again, we are disagreeing on a ton, which is not good for me.
Yeah, right. No, exactly. Georgia, 35.5-point favorites at Vanderbilt.
Well, it's at Georgia.
Is it? I had it at Vanderbilt.
Yeah. It's at Georgia, and I think Vanderbilt is lost their coach. I like Todd Fitch as a assistant coach, and maybe he tries to keep this close. The thing with Vandy is they've covered when you didn't expect them to, and Georgia laying 35.5 with that offense. There's a lot of faith in JT Daniels, which I have, but I just think Vanderbilt's given up. I'm going to take Georgia to destroy them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do like some of the fired coach bump sometimes, but I mean, the problem, Georgia's definitely 35.5 points better, but sometimes they don't play to really blow teams out like that. But I'll still take them with you. Stanford, 11.5-point underdogs going to Washington.
Yeah, I like Washington on the low key here as a team that's not getting a lot of attention. 3-0. Everybody says, well, USC is 3-0, but nobody mentions Washington's 3-0. And I think, Dylan Morris, one of the 18 4-star quarterbacks that Washington took over the last 4 years, right? He's solid.
He's not very good.
He's solid, but Stanford's not a good football team. They're just not. They're not as physical or tough or anything that they've hung their hat on. It's just not happening. So I'm going to take Washington to cover the 11.5.
All right, we got to roll here. I'm taking Stanford, so let's get running out of time. BYU, a 10-point favorite at Coastal Carolina.
Coastal Carolina.
I'm going to take Coastal as well. Clemson, 22.5-point favorite at Virginia Tech.
Clemson, they're going to run it up.
Yeah, Clemson big. That line seems very odd, small to me. Alabama, 29.5-point favorite at LSU.
Bama. Take Bama. Never bet against Bama ever.
Agree. Totally agree. That's in the Bible. Miami, a 15-point favorite at Duke.
This is where I think Miami looks crappy and doesn't cover the 15. I think they win, but I think they win by 7 and everybody's surprised.
I'm going to take Miami. Miami has looked sloppy at times, but I watched Duke play last week against Georgia Tech, and they're horrible. I mean,
they are horrible.
Making terrible mistakes on special teams and stuff like that. Baylor, a 22-point road underdog at Oklahoma.
Baylor's awful, too. I mean, they're really, really bad. So Oklahoma's going to win this one probably by 35.
I agree. Washington State at USC. USC at 13-point favorite.
Well, I'm going to take Washington State simply because I don't think you can ever give almost 2 touchdowns to anybody for USC. They always play down to opponents. So give me Washington State to cover but not win.
Yes, I'm with you. Jaden DeLora to light it up. Okay, Mike, time for your lock of the week.
Boom.
Florida, 17.5-point road favorite at Tennessee. Tennessee likely starting Harrison Bailey, according to my sources.
Yes.
What do you think here, Mike?
Well, okay, so I took Florida against Vanderbilt. I don't know if that was my lock of the week. They didn't cover. I took Florida last week against Kentucky. They didn't cover. I'm taking Florida. They better cover. I mean, this is a depleted Tennessee team. I think there's 16 players in quarantine. Harrison Bailey's a true freshman. Florida needs to continue to impress. They need to put up 50 here, and I think they will and cover the 17.5.
Yeah, I think Florida wins and covers, but I had been betting on the Gators in the first half, and they've let me down 2 weeks in a row. So I think Tennessee can maybe keep it close at halftime, but Florida's too much in the second half. And like you said, they haven't been very crisp.
No.
Not since the Georgia game, really.
They've been ticking me off personally, and I think they've got some things to prove. If they want to move ahead of Texas A&M, which they lost to outright, they better start playing a little bit better. Defensively, Kentucky controlled the ball early in that game. It was boring. It was ugly. Grantham was getting yelled at by Mullen. They played down to Vanderbilt. They better come out and whoop Tennessee because Tennessee is ripe for a 40-point loss here.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts should have a huge game. Tennessee's middle of their defense is just awful. So, yeah, I like the Gators. I like Pitts to have a good game. All right, thanks for the picks, Mike. Be sure to follow Mike on Twitter at RivalsMike and subscribe to our YouTube for more videos.